Have you ever noticed when you're getting hungry, maybe you're trying to do some fasting, space in your life, and then it feels like stomach, it isn't just part of the body anymore. It's become the boss. It's calling the shots. It's telling you what to do. Saying, don't boss me around. We don't want our stomach feeling like a demanding boss, but that is sometimes how it ends up. Have you felt that way? We're going to lean into that today. Today I say, going to be the appetite CEO, going to fire that bossy guy, try to put it in its place. Talking about how to stop letting the stomach run the life. It's just not its place, all right? But it can happen, absolutely, and it is very common. I'm talking about how to become the CEO of our appetite. Take charge of it. And we're going to be drawing insight in that regard from this book, getting toward the very end of it. The mountain is you, and the mountain is me. We're on the journey together. We're moving in a direction of health and what they call self-mastery. Doesn't that sound good? Love that. Brianna Wiest, in this book, she makes a point about self-sabotage and about overcoming it. And she asks this pivotal question that we're going to focus on. I want you to think of it. Listen, what would the most powerful version of myself do? I just love thinking about this. When your stomach is screaming at you, but you set out with an intention. You said, I am trying to lose weight. I'm trying to open up some space. Or I'm just trying to do one small thing, like stop a snack that was coming in that wasn't. But then we are feeling it in that moment. If you're following with me on the channel, you know I'm all about grace in a space. We're never forcing ourselves in a space. Nothing has to be done. The most important thing to do, find peace and contentment in a moment, never punishing our way to health. So all these attitudes are not there. Nurturing our way to health. I love all that. But then we did the session also earlier in the week about the human spirit, the willpower, that we try to do everything we can not to have to use it, but that actually it is a real force, and that we can also see that it is incredible, and we can strengthen that muscle too. Not that we can never use it, we just try to use it as little as possible, but when we need it, when we decide, hey, I am the boss here, and we are doing something new, and we are taking a step. This is what a CEO does, right? A bold, visionary, incredible CEO says, let's take a step, you know? And why is a CEO doing it, you know? Why does a CEO say, like, let's take a bold, visionary step? It's like a couple things. CEOs want to make money, which means CEOs trying to have success for a company. And what does success for a company mean if it doesn't mean providing a better product or service? So if we're the CEO of our life and our health, and we're trying to move forward in health, right, isn't this, what is the product that this CEO of the appetite is saying? We want to develop a future product and service, which is like our life, our way of being, our state of health, more energy, more vitality, less struggle, more flow. This is the sort of thing that a visionary CEO is like, we got to think outside of the box here. Like, stuff hasn't exactly been going the way we want. Perhaps, maybe it has. We say, got to keep the ship sailing. But if we say we're trying to shift course, I say fasting is a space. If you are in a metabolic space, it's something that can help you shift course. Absolutely. It is a practice with two layers, a superficial layer and a very deep layer, as deep as you need it to be. Superficial layer is very simple. We can just describe it in one sentence. We're just taking a period of time where we would have been eating and we're abstaining from food. Okay? Very, very simple. Okay? Does not mean easy. I say simple, but not necessarily easy. Can be easy. And if we find a place of ease with it, we say incredible space. Lean into it. If it's not easy, we gather here in a problem-solving space is like gathering of the CEOs who come together, share the struggles, brainstorm, and move toward it. So think about it. Think of the last time you experienced it. You were planning on having a space without eating. Maybe you're not a practitioner of fasting, but you say, I had lunch and then I was going to have dinner, and then we head into that space and got hungry. Stomach starts growling and say, I want something to eat. Do you remember the last time? We're going to try to get into that mental space. Pat is with us. Happy Friday Eve. Love it. Happy Friday Eve to you as we are recording this live fasting space. I hope you're doing so well. Absolutely. So think of that last time. Maybe you are planning on fasting. You're in a fasting space, but stomach starts getting bossy. And then you broke the fasting space that you're going to have early. You say, can't, not my choice to do it. Now, I've done this many times, full disclosure. Think of favorite quotes that I have, like, perfection not required, don't let perfect be the enemy of the good, all of these things. And it's perfectly acceptable when you're fasting to stop whenever you want. This is what is the nicest thing. Everything open, no rules, nothing required. So I'm not setting up any type of dynamic, intentionally to say like, oh, fasting has to become some sort of rigid and dogmatic thing. Think about the best CEOs. Aren't they flexible, right? Aren't they, they're not totalitarian, things. That's what I say. And maybe someone disagrees. Look, I'm a doctor. I'm not a CEO. I'm not, Someone says, "Oh, look at Elon. He's runs a tight ship, I guess." Anyway, we're in a health space, okay? We are trying to nurture our way to health, and we're finding this line though, where we're trying to take an edge from somebody like that, bring it to our life when we need it. This is what I say. When you were in that space the last time, who was really calling the shots? This is the thing. Is the stomach calling the shots, or is like our most powerful version of ourself, our strongest self, what we might call the true self? Are we really calling the shots? See, this is the thing. If our best choice is really to say, hey, this is not flowing, this is not feeling like my best space, we're going to call this, see, then that's beautiful. But the thing that we want to have is we want to be building that muscle of the human willpower. Use it as little as possible, but say, okay, what would the most powerful version do? And if it was a different choice, that is the spot. That's where we really want to get our finger on it today and point it out. Think of all the thinking, actually. I think pretty much all the thinking that we are doing on the channel is to get actually into this one type of moment, because this is the real crux of the whole issue. If we are in a weight loss space, we are trying to move forward in health, and there are barriers and obstacles to it. We are trying to solve that situation. And a big situation, right? If we were to try to boil it down, it's like we're trying to create flow in the body where energy is flowing out of the body and less in, and there are decisions that have to be made to do that. And we have to get into that space. So ultimately, don't we have to make different decisions? Like we do, if we want to change. And so the process of growth, the process of moving in a better direction is a process of change. Change of any kind can be very difficult. That's why we try to create a calm, gentle, thoughtful space, and we take all the pressure off of it by taking timelines off of ourselves, taking expectations off of ourselves, and then now we're dialing in, trying to give ourselves the most powerful mindset that we can have, not from someone else, right? Not from internet guy telling you a thing, right? From getting into our own headspace, try to meet the most powerful version of ourselves, right? Because we can see there are different versions. Pat says, last time, late in the day, very busy, tired, dinner, preparing dinner for others' favorite foods, starving, perfect storm. I cannot envision a more difficult scenario. Cannot, right? That is absolutely the perfect storm. And it's okay. Tons of grace and compassion for yourself in that space, right? And favorite foods and hungry and people that you're cooking for and all these things is like, you know, enjoy that moment. And then if it's your best choice, next time, learn from it. Yeah, love thinking about that, but very difficult. Yeah. Here's a space too that we could dive way in on: meds that have to be taken in the morning with food. I won't get into it too much in here because I'm not giving medical advice. Here I'm sharing these thoughts, but in my history of fasting and fasting consultation, I've interacted with thousands of people who are practicing fasting, and this is actually a key issue. And many, I would say 80 to 90% of medication issues that make fasting difficult can be dealt with in a way that works on it. So I'd say let's touch base privately. Anybody, I do some private consulting. I got Dr. Z Method links in the description. You can connect with me there. And I help anybody troubleshoot a medication issue that's limiting fasting. I've done a tremendous amount of it. Did you ever see the movie? I think I mentioned it before. It's called Everything Everywhere All at Once. And in that movie, we're seeing many, many different versions of the same person as kind of in this wild sort of multi-dimensional space. And this person in different versions of themselves, which is just made up, it's a movie. But, in some versions, they became a powerful leader. They became a martial arts master, a famous singer. And in the version of reality that we were in the movie, they were like the very worst version of themselves that never accomplished anything, and they were just stuck in every area of their life. And oh man, but it ended up being so beautiful because that's the space where they actually found love and connection. It was so beautiful. The movie wasn't really beautiful if you saw it. Very violent, but also very beautiful too. But that's what I'm saying. She actually got to meet the most powerful version of herself, most powerful versions, and she learned from them and took from those visions or other experiences into her life. And this is the real type of thing that I want us to do today. Just to imagine it. Can you imagine sitting down and having a coffee with the most powerful version of yourself? And what would they say? Yeah, thinking about that space. Let's dive into this passage here. Listen to this. This is from a section entitled, "What Would My Most Powerful Self Do Today?" The first step to becoming your most powerful self is to literally envision that person. Don't take yourself out of your current context either. Begin to ask yourself, what would this person do right now with this day? How would they respond to this challenge? Like, have a visioning process. Do you see it, right? When we're getting into that space, you say, maybe in the space, like we talked through, like we're cooking for family and it's delicious food and you're hungry and all these things, maybe the best space, you say, eat it, enjoy it. But what if the CEO says, you know what? We've played this loop quite a few times. Like, let's try to make it through it. And if that's the best choice, because like maybe it is, you don't have to do it every time. You could flow through the space and not do it. But it would have to have a very powerful mindset. It probably would take the very most powerful mindset. And if that's your choice, actually vision it and see the most powerful version of you responding to the challenge. How do they move forward? What thoughts would they be thinking that would help them to flow through it? And can we grab onto some of those? What would they be feeling in the moment? I say maybe they're feeling the same thing, actually. But maybe it's the thoughts, really, that are sending them in a different direction. Your most powerful self needs to be the CEO of your life. And if we take it out of our whole life, we bring it right here, just into the appetite. We say we're going to make that most powerful version of ourselves the CEO just of this project, right? Just of controlling the appetite. This person needs to be making the managerial decisions. They need to be governing everything else. They are the editor-in-chief. And you are working for them. Oh, I like that thought, right? Say, if we're struggling in a space, you say, we're not quite getting the task done. We're not at like CEO level. We are not, operating in our most powerful space. Envision that person. Say, I'm just going to work for them. It's still myself, right? Most powerful version of myself, given a few orders here. They're saying, hey, you know what? They're going to help us out. They're nice, right? They're like, you know what? You really got to do this, and like follow some orders from your self, for a bit. I say, I'm loving that thought. I've done that a couple times in my life. I think where I just came to that space, I said, man, what would, I don't think I framed it this way, but I did find it helpful. They finish this section. Once you have a clear image of what your most powerful self is like, then you need to evaluate what habits, traits, and behaviors are actively holding you back from fully embodying that person. This is like an idea of really mentally, emotionally stretching us into that space. Envision the person, envision thinking, feel what it is like to be them, and see them making their choice in that decision. Like, if we say, okay, this space, our most difficult space, like you said, if it really is our best choice to flow through it, because we can start envisioning it, right? You can envision, now I say no to this. I stay hydrated. I drink, some water or some sparkling water. I make a tea. I have an extra coffee, whatever the appropriate thing is. And I just lean in, and I'm living vicariously, and I'm seeing the joy and the things happening. And, spaces like that, there can be social pressure, and you say, oh, I laugh it off. And I say, isn't this interesting? I think it's a powerful model in a space too, for other people to make a powerful choice of saying no, and to have people see that it's okay actually to open up spaces. It's okay to stretch ourselves. It's okay to do something difficult. It's okay to have priorities in our life that aren't comfort focused, where you say, hey, this is like a big step for me. It's okay to ask for help on things. CEO, right, is the type of person who makes difficult decisions, who makes decisions that aren't always popular, right? And also is a type of person who knows their limitations and will ask for help. They will lean in to every place where they have experience that is beyond, and every place where it is they have a deficiency, they'll outsource, right? And they will get help with it. And they might do it discreetly so that they keep looking good, and we can do that. Maybe that's a little side conversation like, hey, look, I'm having a bit of difficulty with this decision. Could you give me a hand? Could you help? These are all the kind of conversations that you can have with friends and family in a space like that. And I say they're really good conversations to have. I know a space like that, so often I get into conversations with people like, well, what about kids, and what about young people, and is it what kind of role model is it? And I personally think that when you are sharing your honest expression in an open way, that it can be very, very positive. Think about the society, think about the struggles we are having with metabolic health. And we don't have a lot of fasting role models in this society, but what an incredible gift that this process can be to so many people when we realize it's just nothing to do. It's just the work of fasting is the work of doing nothing and of training the system to be stronger and handle it, and even in the most difficult circumstance. I think bringing a lot of compassion into it too. This is what I tried to say in that space. Say it's a very, very difficult space, and can we bring a lot of compassion into ourselves? We're trying to find this line between the edge where we say, okay, we're bringing in the strength and power of a CEO, and then the compassionate space and realizing the difficulty of it. Think about this scenario. I'm kind of thinking it like this. I'm picturing, okay, especially like this, okay, tired at the end of the day. Man, picturing part of the section in here that I haven't, that I kind of skipped over, that I haven't gone, maybe we'll just talk about it a little bit, is just talking about the inner child. And inner child as a concept is a psychological concept. They say, even in there, and they're quoting different psychologists, okay, it's not really an inner child, okay, it's a metaphorical concept. It's talking about how, especially when we were younger and we were vulnerable and we are trying to find our way of how do we navigate this space, that we encounter situations where we're hurt or injured, especially emotionally, and that we can carry patterns like that forward, called like the emotional child. I saw once, have you ever seen this? You're at the checkout line in the grocery store, or it's like a Target or something, which increasingly I call like a gauntlet, where you have to in order to get to those checkouts, you've got to make it through like giant racks full of candy bars and sodas, and it's all lit up. And I'm just like, this is perverse, I think. But I was standing in one of these lines once, and like like a toddler is like in the seat of the cart, and they're, they have clearly had a long day. They're not happy. They're like screaming, and they're trying to grab like a candy thing or something like this. Have you seen this? And think about this experience, like when a little kid is crying for candy, okay? They're not trying to sabotage. They're not trying to even for themselves, right? They're just feeling overwhelmed. They're feeling uncomfortable. They're looking for some sort of comfort. It's like they see the perfectly lit, the bright thing, and wouldn't it help in the very short term, right? You give the kid the candy bar in the checkout, they're going to stop screaming. Isn't there like the temptation? So think of that space. Like, have we felt like that? Haven't we all been that in that scenario? Whereas even when we were younger, where it's like, stress and overwhelmed, and doesn't that sort of space stay with us? That's what I think about. I think some of the times when we're in a struggle like that, this book would suggest, that we're like acting out and feeling parts of this inner child that was looking for comfort, maybe didn't receive it. Can we give a gift? This is where they go in there. Can we go back? Can we reach back, give a gift to the inner child? Give them the space to let them know that things are okay. Let them know that there's love and compassion coming from you, right? But then also say, isn't it the wrong move to give the kid the candy bar, right? It might help for 5 minutes, but 20 minutes later is going to be much worse, isn't it? Like the sugar rush is going to be on, and then the crash, and everything is going to blow up. Not the healthy choice. So this is the sort of thing, if you like this analogy, I think it can be a compassionate way to go. Find compassion for our inner child, our inner self, whether we just call that our emotional self now, if you don't like the inner child analogy. But coming in, it's like, you don't let the children run the boardroom, if we're trying to become the CEO, we see this dynamic that is happening, we can be compassionate to people, but we can also say no. Be compassionate to ourselves, but say no in the scenario. And really set it if that's our best choice. So I think that is there. Say, we're not letting the stomach run our life, not letting the appetite. We don't have to be a tyrant with it, but we can have the power of the human spirit with it, and we can make the call, and then we can use all of our best thinking and effort to put us into that space. And that would be my suggestion. And then, like a good CEO, right, they equip themselves to make the decision in the best way possible. They give themselves every tool. They bring in every type of person that can support them to do it. So, Appetite CEO might go watch the Hunger series on my channel. I got the Hunger series. I talk through a whole series of different perspectives on it, on eliminating processed foods, getting ourselves into a low-carb eating space so we're not driving insulin cycles, creating the ideal environment for ourselves, both physically in the environment so we're not getting cues on hunger. Emotionally, we're having conversations with people so that they can help us, changing our frame of mind on hunger and filling our mind with every positive thought, understanding that hunger comes in a wave and will pass, and then it's not a never-ending linear process. So that Hunger series has a lot of great thinking, ending presently with the fasting aids. And so there's another thing. Bring a fasting aid into a situation. If you're cooking up some beautiful food for people, have a broth, something that you can enjoy with people. Broth is like the fastest comfort food, It's like, it's very minimalist, it's warm, it's comforting. And say, is that the bridge that can get you through the most difficult space? And then another video I want to put on the end of that one is just taking care of our microbiome, because so much of the satiety factors that are coming in actually made endogenously, meaning inside of us, by our bacterial brethren that are within us. And there is this virtuous cycle of satiety. I think I've got an article, simplefasting.com, a virtuous cycle of satiety. So maybe that looks like getting some fermented foods in our life, like sauerkraut and kimchi and kefir and all of this sort of stuff, so that we can get some good guys in there and help to center the appetite. See, the CEO is saying, where are the resources that we need? Like, where are we deficient? How do we get every single piece lined up so that we have everything that we need to move forward in this critical area? Like we were saying, isn't this the space where we're trying to make our most powerful choice in our most difficult decision space, where we reach a breakthrough? So I want a breakthrough for you, and is it actually a path where you can get into that space if it's the best choice and make the critical call that the most powerful version of yourself would make? So I hope these are empowering thoughts for you, literally empowering. Think of a powerful CEO and that you are becoming it in your own life for this specific challenge that you need, if that is overcoming a food craving or some sort of space. And share your experience as you work on it. Come back into this space. Do you find it helpful? Do you make it through it or not? Either way, it is all good. We're having a human experience. We're striving after something good and something beautiful, and it is a practice. So fasting space, like any health practice, whether it's riding the bike, running around, focusing on some sort of diet, all of these things are practices. We do our very best every day, and then we learn from our experience. We don't judge ourselves harshly about it in any fashion. We just say, hey, I did my best here. This is the experience I had. And that is another step on the practice that is building us up into some future that we can't see yet, but we are just trying to manifest in the best way that we can. All right, those are my thoughts of the day. Don't let the stomach run the life. Take control. Be the CEO. I'm grabbing the coffee. I'm happy to hang out a little bit. Let me know. Do you have other thoughts, questions, reflections on this? Happy to extend the conversation if you would like. If you are here on the replay, so nice to have you with me. We can keep the conversation going in the comments. Share your thoughts and reflections. And I'd be very happy to have ongoing conversation with it there. And do you have suggestions of ways we could advance this thinking in future episodes? I'd love to do it. I would love to do it. Fasting space, the entire thing to me, a giant conversation. And I love the idea. Build the conversation in a broader fashion. I have many books and thinking that I am going to continue bringing. And invite you to continue on the journey with me and make it a collaborative process. That's what I like the most. Collaborative journey toward health. That's what I want with it. Setting our most powerful intention and not letting anything get in the way of what we really want. Like, what are the things that we determine to be the most important? We're going to move powerfully toward them. All right, everybody, thank you so much for being here. I wish you the very best in this day, and I will look forward to talking with you again soon.